Hey everyone, Freefall here. So mixed pony races, what do I mean by that? Well, as I'm sure you're all aware, the ponies of Equestria come in three main varieties: Earth, Pegasus, and Unicorn, as well as Alicorns who are a mix of all three races. With all that being said, one thing I've been questioning for a while is, why are Alicorns the only mixed race? Could there perhaps be ponies that accompany two of the three races? That's why today I'm going to be talking about the potential for Earth Pegasi, Earth Unicorns, as well as Pegacorns. First of all, let's talk about what I mean by mixed races. Let's start with Earth Pegasi. I know what you may be thinking, wouldn't an Earth Pegasus just be a normal Pegasus? Well, no. While observing an Earth pony at a cursory glance, it is possible to come to the conclusion that they simply have the short end of the stick and got screwed over by being grounded, and without magic. But that's actually not the case. While it hasn't necessarily been stated directly within the show, we have seen evidence that Earth ponies possess significant strength compared to the other races, which is likely why most farmers are Earth ponies. In addition to this, Earth ponies have been evidenced to have a deeper connection to the world around them, which could provide an explanation for Pinky's unique Pinky sensibility. And we also know that Earth ponies possess much more body mass than Unicorns or Pegasi, which could be the reason why Big Macintosh was able to grow to such an enormous size, as well as why stallions like Cheese Sandwich and Trenderhooves appear to be taller than other stallions. And due to this, Alicorn wings are shown to be significantly larger than Pegasus wings. So assuming that Earth Pegasi do exist, they would most likely be depicted as simply Pegasi with Alicorn wings, just like this Derpy Hooves plush. Unfortunately, we've yet to actually see anything of the sort within the show. All Pegasi appear to have the same wingspan, aside from whom, you may ask? None other than Scootaloo, who appears to have gotten screwed. Over, I mean. You can check out this video by Dr. Wolf if you want coverage on that headcanon. And yeah, even though the Derpy Hooves plush clearly has Alicorn wings, the Derpy in the show doesn't appear to have anything like that. So let's move on. The next potential mixed race I'd like to talk about is the Earth Unicorn. So how would we distinguish the difference between a unicorn and an Earth Unicorn? Simple. As we've established, Earth ponies have more mass than other races, and while not all of them grow to be as large as Big Macintosh, some of them have shown a significant increase in height alone. So in theory, an Earth Unicorn could be identified by being taller than other unicorns. Case in point, the Flim Flam brothers. We can clearly see that they have the same base as Cheese Sandwich and Trenderhoof, but we can also clearly see that they are unicorns, further illustrating my point. In addition to that, we also have Fancy Pants and Shining Armor. Both of them are depicted as being as large as Big Macintosh, something that many stallions don't appear to achieve, even ones that are clearly full grown. And the final piece of evidence would be Rarity's father, Hondo Flanks. Many speculated that he was an Earth pony since his hat was obstructing his horn. However, in Inspiration Manifestation, he's shown without it for the first time and is revealed to indeed be a unicorn. And lastly is the third group of theoretical mixed ponies, the Pegacorns. Now, as we established previously, an Earth Pegasus would logically be a Pegasus with Alicorn wings, and as such, the only logical depiction for a Pegacorn would essentially be like an Alicorn but with normal Pegasus wings. Have we seen any evidence of that? Yes, we have. If you observe the background of this clip from Rarity Takes Manhattan, you can clearly see Neon Lights, who, for some reason, has wings in this scene. And if you observe this screenshot of Rainbow Falls, you may notice a certain yellow background pony who clearly has Pegasus wings and a horn. And I know what you're thinking.
Freefall, those are just animation errors. They don't mean anything. Neon Lights is already an established unicorn.
And yes, you would probably be right about that. But to be fair, Derpy was an animation error, and today she's essentially the fandom's mascot. But yeah, this is pretty weak evidence. My next piece of not quite decisive, but nevertheless more substantial evidence is Princess Cadance. If you look at this picture of her when she was Twilight's full sitter, we can clearly see that she's not as tall as other Alicorns, and that her wings look a tad different from alicorn wings. This could potentially suggest that, while she was a princess at the time, she may have only been a pegacorn. But then that would beg the question, how would these supposed races come to be? The first explanation I could come up with would be that they'd be assigned to royalty. Prince Blueblood and Fancy Pants are both rather large stallions who also have horns, and we know for a fact that Prince Blueblood is royalty, and Fancy Pants has been theorized to be royalty. This would be most logical, considering not only would it make sense for royalty to be well privileged, but it could also help them to understand their subjects better. Think about it, if a unicorn had a dispute with an earth pony over something related to the advantages and disadvantages to their unique race, and they had an earth pony prince mediate the argument, anytime the prince sided with the earth pony, it would be seen as an attack against the unicorn. But if the prince has traits of both an earth pony and a unicorn, then this will allow him to have more insight into their positions. And this would explain why the 4 alicorn princesses need to have all 3 races, as they govern over the entirety of Equestria and, as such, would need to be able to understand the limitations of everyone. In addition to this, the lack of Earth Pegasi and Pegacorns could be attributed to the simple fact that unicorns and Earth ponies would be more likely to occupy the same land, as Pegasi are capable of living in clouds and anywhere else they may choose. A second explanation could be that in addition to royalty, perhaps those blessed with great financial prowess could be capable of purchasing a method of applying a second race to them. We've seen in Sonic Rainboom that Twilight is able to give ponies temporary butterfly wings, but doing so drains her magic quite a bit. So, assuming there is a spell to permanently create a pony of mixed race, it would likely take quite a bit of magic, and as such, could potentially be offered by highly adept unicorns for a massive financial compensation. Being businessmen, perhaps Fancy Pants, as well as the Flim Flam brothers aren't royalty, but simply have large funds for this operation is probably the best way I could describe it. And the last explanation that I could come up with is that perhaps it's simply genetic, and while there could potentially be magic that can transform a pony, such as the magic Celestia gave to Twilight, it could also just be a luck of the draw genetic makeup, which would likely be rather rare, but not impossible. And perhaps instead of royalty being bestowed multiple race traits, it could be that they're simply royalty due to their possession of such genes. And perhaps ponies with such genes are just naturally gifted in their walks of life. There's also one extra explanation I came up with involving an adventure with Dr. Hooves, but it's kind of complicated and requires involving canon from a completely different series, so we'll just leave that out for now. And lastly, there's the question, should it happen? Well, it does seem like an interesting concept, but at the same time it would be quite a bit to drop on the audience all at once. Like when we found out that Daring Do is an actual pony, it would just be a lot to take in and could potentially lead to some difficulty for the writers to make sure it all makes sense. But at the same time it could make for some interesting plot points, so maybe it could work out. In any case, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this headcanon. Is there any evidence that I've missed? Are there any leads that suggest this headcanon could or could not happen? In either case, leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'm anxious to hear what you guys think of this theory. I'm Freefall, and this has been my Headcanon Hour.